the objects that pertain to porcelain making in Puebla in the 17th and 18th century are a perfect example as to why questioning mobility is such an important vehicle to understand our identities and to understand our position, our privileges in today's society. The Chinese, the vasijas, the porcelanas from Puebla are a good example because they became popular through the wealthy Creoles of the 17th and 18th century. And that's what's fascinating about this object, that it's promoted by an ideology that seeks to form this myth of a binary identity, but it's based on a very complicated, increasingly global empire that was Spain at the time. So these objects came to Mexico via the Manila Galleon. And the Manila Galleon was it's basically this boat that was the connection between Asia and Spain via Mexico. So it always stopped different ports, but mainly in Acapulco. It started in the 1560s and continued all the way prior to independence, I believe 1815 or so. There's different documents. But the Manila Galleon started exporting cochinilla, started exporting silver, different objects from the Americas to Asia. And as an exchange, we will get silks, rugs from India. We will get porcelain from Japan and from China. So quickly, by the middle of the 17th century, there is a local taste. There's a local taste that it's been developed through in the nobility of Mexico, or the wealthy Creoles. And again, when we say Creoles, we have to be careful because Creoles in the United States meet Southern United States. It's a different type of identity. In Mexico, it's Mexican-born people from Spain. So they attach their identity to the nobility of Spain, but also the nobility of the Aztecs. That's one of the reasons you have Sor Juan Inés de la Cruz writing poems in Spanish, in Latin, but also in Nahuatl, because it's about augmenting, again, this binary idea of Creoles. But Creoles were they were not at the top posts of New Spain. No eran el rey o el virrey, anything like that. So they were very privileged, but they always held lesser positions. So they always push to be recognized. One of the reasons why I talk about Creole supremacy, or like white supremacy, because it comes from a need to be recognized. And the Creoles of the 17th and 18th century are collecting these objects as a way to show that they have a global understanding of material culture. That they, for instance, there's a lot of portraits from the 18th century where you have very wealthy Creoles. They're wearing a French cut suit with a ridiculous powder white wig, but the material of the suit, it's Asian, and the composition of the portrait is European, but that they're also in their title have Aztec names. So it's like a combination of the entire world. And this was a political statement that says we are more fit as global citizens of the world to rule this viceroyalty, right? And the way that they perform that supreme identity was through these material objects. So to own una vasija from Puebla that was inspired from Chinese porcelain, that also have details about lacing details like lebrillo, et cetera, that comes from clothing in Spain, but then it has a shape of a guard that it's very Mesoamerican, to have like European, Chinese, indigenous all together in an object precisely spoke about that. So you have that it's a global multi-ethnic, I hate that word, but multi-ethnic object that is at the surface of a binary identity. So that's what's interesting about this type of objects.